I thought that was some good conversation on Zadarius Smith, Brad Holmes, and it carries over because obviously got asked some more questions about some other players of interest. One, Jameson Williams.
And by the way, this clip, I basically got it from Easy. He's the one who clipped it up. I asked permission. He said yes. This is Easy from the heavyweights. And JB, Brad Holmes on Jameson Williams.
Jameson, because he had the suspensions.
Yeah.
Is he at that level that you're willing to, do an extension with him? Does he have more to prove? How does he fit into that long term?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're still taking it, as it goes. Look, his 5th-year option's coming. It's looking likely that we'll go ahead and just pick that up. But in terms of extension, again, there's a lot of extensions that are hopefully coming, but it's just one that you just don't know what's going to happen from a financial standpoint, because a wide receiver, it's expensive. It's very expensive. So
man, Brad Holmes is just, hey, listen, this is the business of it all, man. I'm trying to run an empire over here.
You're just chilling in the
This
tropics.
is a parody league. It's not easy to keep being relevant year to year to year, bro. Like,
he
that shit is not
all
easy.
of our feelings and BS.
Yeah.
He just gets right to the point, and excuse me, I like what he had to say here because he's continuing to show what the intent is. Obviously, they're going to pick up that 5th-year option on Jameson Williams, but he's being honest about it there. He's put up some pretty good stats where he could go. This number could go pretty high.
And this is what I really liked about these comments, and you're not going to be shocked by why I like them.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, I've stood down on Jameson Williams. He got that 1,000 yards. I got the jersey. I'm not going to unnecessarily slander him ever again. However, this to me, him being slightly non-committal and not really saying just like, oh, we definitely want to extend him. We definitely want to bring him back. Well, obviously, he mentioned a 5th-year option, and that's an option with a first-round draft pick. But what this all tells me is that Brad Holmes cares more about certain drawbacks of Jameson Williams' first couple of years than a lot of us fans do. Stuff that I was preaching about from the beginning, the 2 suspensions for 6 games, the fact that he came in hurt but had a receiving touchdown on week 14 and never got a pass caught the rest of the year. The fact that in his second season, he had a suspension for the first 4 games and only ended up with 354 receiving yards. It was only in his 3rd season where he really broke out. And unfortunately for Jameson Williams, most Brad Holmes rookies who show promise and who have been great players, that pretty much from day one. They produce pretty much from day one. And don't get me wrong, I know Jameson Williams came in as an injured player, but that's why I look at his year 2 as what Brad Holmes may be thinking in terms of a cause for pause. Because at the end of the day, do I think that Jameson Williams' character issues are overblown? Certainly. But being suspended twice for 6 games is not common, and it's certainly not common around Detroit Lions players. And I think there's a lot of players who Brad Holmes has drafted and has already given extensions to and will give extensions to that he's more comfortable with giving the big bucks to right now than Jameson Williams. All this could change if JMO has a monster year 4 and ups his numbers even more and doesn't get suspended. That could change, but as of right now, I think that Brad Holmes has more trust in other players, both who he's already extended and who he's going to need to extend soon.
And I feel like at a certain point in time as well, even if he wants to bring them all back, sometimes it gets difficult to do that, and so you start to parse how much the value really is going forward in totality, what they do on the field, what they do off the field. And for me, I'm very comfortable with what I see on the field and off the field from Jameson Williams. I know that he's had some growing up to do. An organization has been kind of clear about that, and they're helping him in that process, as well as him helping himself and his people around him. But what I saw last year was a player kind of drawing out a lot of the noise, do what he had to do work-wise in the offseason to prove that he's somebody you could trust on that field. And you hope that the noise continues to turn lower and lower and lower in his career, and that he can actualize everything that he has in front of him. Because Jameson Williams showed us last year, he's talented. And every time he touches the ball, it's almost as if you can bet that it's going to be a big play every single time. The connection that he had and the just what he provided for Jared Goff. For this offense, being able to take the top off the offense. There were times, even against the Bears, where it's just like being able to toss it down the field to him a couple times really was why the offense was able to get going. And that's where I like what he brings to the table. I do trust that Brad Holmes will be able to identify if he has to go in a different direction. Somebody else will fulfill that role, but personally, I really like what Jameson Williams brings to the table, man. Both vibes, on the field and off the field.
Oh, sure. Of course. And nobody, and even me, I'm not denying what he did last year and what I think that he can be. I think there's a couple of chats that are interesting. Chuck Brewer, or his extension depends on how much he improves next year, Sam. And
I think that's
actually more what I was saying, but maybe I didn't articulate that enough. And DNCENT, JMO is getting $30 million. I'm assuming he means AAV, but it won't be here, unfortunately. And if Jameson Williams has another monster year, he will be closer to the top echelon of highest paid receivers in the NFL than you think. I will just say that. But as far as Chuck Brewer goes, I think you're right, because look at the players that Brad Holmes has extended. Let's start with Penei Sewell. By the time Penei Sewell was extended, he was already a 2-time Pro Bowler and a 2023 first-team All-Pro and widely regarded as the best tackle in the NFL. Then he was extended. Amon-Ra St. Brown had a 900-yard rookie season, 2,000-yard seasons, including a 1,500-yard season in which he was also named first-team All-Pro. Then he was extended. Ali McNeil, he had a productive season in 2022, a great season in 2023, and a really good start to the 2024 season, and then he was extended. That's where Jameson Williams is a little bit different. Through a variety of reasons, he didn't hit the ground running nearly as fast as the typical Brad Holmes standout draft pick does. And don't get me wrong, he's blossomed into what we all thought that he could be. He was fantastic last year. I'm not taking that away from him. But I do think Brad Holmes, not Flannel Sam, Brad Holmes is telling you that he needs to see more, and he's very thankful that he has the fifth-year option, and the pressure isn't quite on just yet.
And that's just the negotiating process. Like, Sam, I don't, disagree with anything you're saying. The early stuff does play a factor. I don't think it plays a huge factor, but in terms of negotiations, that absolutely has to get brought to the table. Just the fact that it did take you a while to get going, and while, you did end up where we wanted you to end up, those couple years of production, is it really worth us paying you X amount of dollars? And like you said, if JMO continues to be the guy that we think he can be, you're looking at maybe a 12 to 1,300 yard receiver, multiple touchdowns. He will be one of the highest paid receivers in this league if they decide to keep him. But that's not a decision they need to make right now. I think they've made it pretty clear that, barring anything unforeseen, they will pick up his fifth-year option. So we will have him for at least the next 2 seasons at a cheap price. And then it just depends on how how some of these other extensions fall, how some money comes off the books. Like, there's multiple things year to year. Every time they do this is going to look different. There will be certain people that you not going to have here that you thought you would. There will be certain people that'll be coming in that you have to account for. But overall, if JMO continues to produce, I think Brad Holmes will try to find the money as long as he doesn't price himself out. And that's also another big thing that, if JMO comes to the end of this contract and he's balled to that point, there is a chance he could price himself out. I don't think he would, and maybe you want to explore trying to extend him a little earlier than the 5th year. But if they decide not to, I trust Brad whatever he decides to do.
But balling out for JMO is so different because of the big play potential that he provides. So it's like balling out for him, but it's almost like kind of keep him. He's such a weapon.
He's a game changer.
He's a game changer, both in the passing game and the running game. Especially when you start to run him in motion as he continues to improve as an overall player and how he sees those runs in front of him. This guy is going to be someone you can throw the ball at all 3 levels. Give him the ball at all 3 levels. He's going to be, like he's already shown, somebody can make a difference. I liked his improvement catching the ball over the middle of the field. I thought his hands got a lot more sure over what we've seen prior. And that's where, if he balls out, it's not as if it's just kind of all right, cool. He put up decent stats for a wide receiver. He's the type of guy that's going to go out there and get you like 20 yards a catch.
Mm-hmm.
That type
and
of
some rushing yards,
and some rushing yards. That's where it's like, man, You said it right best. Game changer.
Yeah, no, he's a field flipper. He's somebody that can literally flip the game in an instant. And I've said this, all through last season. He has the NFL's most coveted skill, and it is speed. And the way he utilizes his speed and the way this Lions offense utilizes his speed, he's one of those guys that you really have to consider if you're thinking about, maybe, re-signing him or letting him go. Like, this is, if he goes to another team and he's still in the prime of his career, that could be a mistake. So I would just, we still have another couple years. I'm not really worried about it right now. And like I said, maybe you have those talks early, so maybe you can be on the cheaper end of things. But overall, we got J-Mo for the next 2 years. We'll see how it plays out. But ultimately, it will be determined on how much he improves from this year and that 5th year.
Yeah, but and none of what you guys are saying is wrong. I would love to have Jameson Williams on this team long term, especially if he improves, which an improvement for him, I mean, shoot, yeah, you're talking 1,200, 1,300 yards, even more big plays, no suspensions, which is fair, by the way. I'm not just taking a shot. If that happens, there is a good chance that he's a higher priority for Brad Holmes and this Detroit Lions team. And a lot of that also depends on how some of the other guys produce, who Brad Holmes deems in the hierarchy of most important players. Is Jameson Williams a bigger priority than Gibbs or Laporta? And decisions like that are going to have to be made. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that Brad Holmes is saying a lot of the things that I've been saying and thinking, that Jameson Williams is fantastic right now, but with every other player and with every other rookie who's been productive, Brad Holmes extended guys with multiple years of elite production or good production. A lot of the other ones like Hutch, Gibbs, Laporta, multiple years of damn good production. I would like to see more. I'm not ready to just call Jameson Williams like, oh, you got to give him that big extension. Oh, he's already better than Justin Jefferson. I know that's only the fringe, but it happens.
Yeah.
Just
nobody said that yet.
But hey,
but he can be in that conversation though.
I don't know. We'll see.
He can. And then just the fact that you have Saint and J-Mo like as your established wide receiver 1 and 2 combo, why wouldn't you want to keep that together for the years to come? Because they seem lethal. They definitely seem lethal together.
Hey, and maybe that's why Brad Holmes didn't make another move or didn't keep Zadarius Smith for that matter, because maybe Jameson Williams is somebody who he's obviously on the fence about. In terms of extending, he told you as much, but I also think that he's open to the idea. I mean, shoot, what if Jameson Williams gives you 1,500 yards? What if this year he actually has more? Pro? What if he actually has more receiving yards than Amon-Ra St. Brown?
I can see it.
It could happen, especially with how Jameson Williams could very well put up a stat line of 2 catches for 105 yards in a way that Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's just not really his game. We'll see.
I've been comfortable with the fact that you can surround them with some serviceable wide receivers that don't cost a lot because of that big play ability from J-Mo and how tough and reliable Amon-Ra is going to be. To see the different supporting cast in terms of pass catchers around them change for really most of the time that you've had them here, it's been amazing and interesting actually when you think about it, because we thought, oh no, we need, do we need Josh Reynolds back? He was one of our more productive 3 or 4s, and then we see, they just kind of signed Tim Patrick from out of nowhere, and you see him step in and have an effect. Khalif Raymond is able to have an effect, and not that these guys were nobodies, but we also know that they're not the wide receivers that are going to command the contracts and the Amon-Ra and the J-Mo will. So it's like, if you know that these guys can go out there and really pull weight from a receiving standpoint, and that the supporting cast will do what they're supposed to do and not cost you a bunch, it kind of puts you in a position where you can support that when you look at the the numbers overall from a wide receiver room in the contract. So I'm hoping Jameson Williams plays himself into some uncomfortable conversations as it relates to the contract, because that means he's going to ball out. Because you're right, when you talk about improvement for him, what does that exactly mean? It's not just all the counting stats going up, but even the per play type of opportunities. If he's already going out there and can get you 18 yards a catch, what does improvement look like for him on that end? And that is just where it gets crazy, because these defenses and these secondaries are going to have to make decisions about how you defend. I still believe that year 3 Sam Laporta is going to be a monster. Yeah, I do. I just think that you had I'm on the scene. Then second year, they're kind of planning for you. Now you got a little bit of a different offense coming in. But I think that he's going to be one of those guys that's like, you can't forget about him. And if you do, as Final Sam famously said.
Of course. I mean, a lot of teams
It can kill
experience
you.
that
Yeah.
moment. Most notably the Chicago Bears. And heck, even the Washington Commanders, although unfortunately the Commanders were able to win that one. It's an interesting conversation, and I'm happy that Brad Holmes is doing his due diligence, because I think with Jameson Williams, he's an extremely interesting case. It's to me, if I were giving my Flannel Sam meter, it's 50-50 whether he's on this team in 2027 or not. But we shall see.
It's going to be interesting to see. And you know what? I'm glad that Brad Holmes, like, again, he has a foresight to cut through everything, handle the business, fifth-year option, prove yourself.
Yeah.
What we've seen, he'll take care of
And
you.
notice what he said during that. He hopes to get a lot of extensions done. So keep that in mind, people. That's why he's not going crazy in the free agent market, bro. You're trying to keep our own guys.
Wants to keep all of them. It seems like he wants to at least attempt to keep all of them. But
Might be able to.
hey, Brad Holmes was